we have used the World Wide Web, the internet, to work together in really interesting ways.
The internet itself is this magnificent thing that promises this world where we can connect to each other and communicate across distances and share knowledge and be more alive together.
The problem is all of these technologies rely on a centralized model where there is a corporation or an entity in the center that holds ownership of the data and does the coordination.
We have this new strange phrase of these things are too big to fail. We have to prop them back up because our economy would fall apart, our society would fall apart without them. It's not actually true. It's just that that pattern can't continue, which is a good thing. That's good news, because that pattern isn't sustainable anyway. That pattern is burning the planet right now.
One of the things that I think most of us have is this feeling of being a cog in a wheel, of being a part in a pyramid, where we are there as a function, not as a human, and it's a really stuck feeling. And natural systems don't only operate in those hierarchies. They have rich networks of information flow that allow for a really complex and varied array of interactions.
We need to build some healthier patterns in being able to be stewards of the planet. The question is, do we have the intelligence on the collective level to be able to coordinate these things? And the tools that we have for coordination all encode the communications on carriers that are enclosable, carriers that can be intercepted, that can be constrained, that can be controlled.
Enclosable carriers always lead to concentrations of power. And so the primary thing we're trying to create with Holochain is an unenclosable carrier for doing communication interaction. And so what that means is decentralized.
Why do we want a decentralized internet? Because we want agency and autonomy and security. Those three things are really important, and we're losing those in the internet that we have today.
So we need a new pattern. And that new pattern, unfortunately, is not blockchain, which is also burning the planet and repeating all of the same things that they were claiming to fix.
There was this incredible excitement around blockchain as, oh wow, now we can do money in a way that we don't need the banks anymore. But if you actually look at what happened, it's deeply, deeply centralized, because you basically centralized all the power with the miners.
Its architecture actually isn't scalable, and it won't be able to grow to the size that we need to coordinate on large scale, and it won't be able to go fast enough. But the claims were good. The goals were good. What they wanted to do in that decentralization was good. And that's what we're doing in Holochain. Holochain, by being an unenclosable carrier that's completely peer-to-peer, that becomes the safety net that you can turn to when the things that are too big to fail but are irresistibly on a failure trajectory. Holochain is an alternative technology architecture for solving similar problems, but without the bottlenecks and without the massive computing overhead.
It is a new version of the internet that allows us to connect together in ways that escape the centralized structures. And then Holo makes a bridge to the mainstream audience so that everybody can participate in the new internet.
You can install Holo on an existing computer, or you can buy a Holo box pre-configured, plug and play, ready to go. Holo is our way of extending virtual Holochain space to people who aren't even running Holochain yet and just want to access these kinds of applications through their browser. And you get paid for providing the hosting services.
When you shift the architecture the way we're shifting it to a cooperative decentralized space, we get to a world in which the interactions that we're doing at this global scale through these things we call applications are human-centric as opposed to money-centric, which is, I think, what they really are right now.
One of the things that differentiates us from most of the projects in this space is our interest in living systems.
These principles are behind a lot of our design and a lot of our understanding of how nature works and how we then translate that into how scalable, decentralized computing patterns work. We're used to doing things on scale through command and control, and we haven't really had an opportunity to have those kinds of social patterns of smart networks emerge because they haven't had a way to truly be peered, to truly hold things together and make sure everybody's following the rules and have an immune system to kick out bad actors, malicious nodes, and detect corruption. Holochain does all that. It's modeled all on natural systems, the way our body does this with cells. And I think that's going to be a bigger game changer than we can imagine.
The system that we're in is collapsing, in multiple ways. And I think that we're building the thing that's going to be the bridge into the future, that's going to enable more people to have more of their needs met and be in community and belonging.
Having unenclosable carriers like Holochain for us to coordinate and organize will let us establish whole new patterns of sharing with each other, caring for each other, seeing what's needed, knowing how to respond to situations, knowing how to deal with things on scale. We've dedicated a lot of time to this.
The thinking through the deep structure of the world and what it means and where to go has been done over the last decade. And now we get to touch the ground and build something that people can use today that moves us into that world we want.
One of the great things about the project is that we, I think, have done a good job of attracting a lot of people because of the deeper purpose of the project, resonating with their purpose. And so we have a diverse team.
There is a larger community that's ready for this, that wants to build with us. We're engaging more and more developers around the world, and so there's a deep hope and faith that this will genuinely be for everyone.
It feels like our purpose in the world is we have the capacity to bring this into reality, and that's what we're doing. And it's become time to invite much wider participation.